Hey, what's going on? In this interview, I talked to Tyler Bishop. He is the CMO at Ezoic. And we talk about how he got started with his career in general. He's been a part of a couple startups. We also talk about how using a company like Ezoic and using display ads on your affiliate site can really help out. That is even more important these days now that Amazon has changed their commission rate structure. So monetizing your site and looking for anything you can do to take advantage of that traffic that you have on your site is a good thing. So Tyler gives us some great tips on using ads along with affiliate links in an affiliate site model. And we also talk about how video is obviously a great medium. You're watching a video right now, but we talk about how there are other ways to get traffic and earn money aside from YouTube. So YouTube obviously has a huge audience, but there are other things that we can do to take advantage of that. If you want to check out Ezoic, there's a link in the description, and there's a few ways to connect with Tyler. He's a really down-to-earth guy. I've had a few conversations with him, and hopefully once we can be social again, I'll be able to meet Tyler in person sometime soon. So without further ado, I'm going to send it to the interview with Tyler Bishop from Ezoic. Hey, what's going on? It's Doug Cunnington here, and I'm with my friend Tyler Bishop. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. How are you, Doug?
Doing awesome. It's a sunny day. I think we're going to get a few inches of snow tomorrow, but yeah, good day so far.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough. I grew up in the Midwest, so lots of snow there. But I moved to a climate where I get my favorite weather all the time, which is late spring in the Midwest. I live here in Southern California, where we're pretty much 60 to 70 degrees year round. So
That is fantastic. And for the people that don't know you, Tyler, who are you and what do you do?
yeah, so I'm. So I guess I always tell people I'm an award-winning marketer. If you're going to win awards for marketing, you got to tell people about it. Otherwise, what are you even winning them for? But I am the CMO of Ezoic, which is a technology provider for digital publishers around the globe. And I have been with Ezoic for about 5 years now. And I had some startup companies that I'd grown and sold up until then. And now I'm in my home office because, like a lot of people, I'm in my home right now working remotely and trying to do my part to stay indoors.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Have you been able to, I don't know where you live exactly, but are there enough parks and stuff where you can go out for a jog and like kind of do some normal stuff on your own?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm lucky enough that I get to live in an area where we're not very densely populated, and I can kind of get outside, walk my dogs. I actually do have a park right across the street, so I've been getting my daily exercise in, so it's been kind of nice. I've actually had a little bit more time because I don't have the commute back and forth from the office. So
Right on. Very good. Well, you mentioned a couple startups and we don't know each other that well. And I'm just interested in hearing like what were your startups?
sure. So my very first company ever was actually not my idea, but I helped start it. So I was part of a company called Live which is a lot like the Gallup organization. And so Live was the brainchild of a gentleman by the name of Louis Ray. Louis was a partner at Edward Jones, a large financial firm. And the idea was to leverage the science of positive psychology to help people with both financial and workplace applications, life planning, things along those lines. And so we did a lot of surveys, things like the well-being index that you see now, the Gallup organization will often do. And so that was my very first organization ever, and was a successful period. Was working on that project for about 5 years, and then I helped grow another company called Datix, which Datix was a Microsoft and Salesforce partner for a long period of time, built a lot of really cool products between those two devices. And then most recently, before Ezoic, had stops at Microsoft and a company called Ungerbach, which is an event management software. And so in all those different instances, I was managing big global teams here recently. And at Ezoic, when I came on board, I was the sole guy. I was the marketer, which is kind of what I like. And once again, we've grown into a situation where I'm managing a pretty good sized team. And I used to always tell my employees when I would hire them, I hate managing people. And now it's probably one of my favorite things that I do. And it's partially because I've grown the team from scratch and really enjoy what we've built here at Ezoic. So yeah, that's kind of the quick and dirty version of my bio.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had no idea. I like talking to smart people who have done cool things. So we're talking to the right folks here. Now, I don't know what your background is, like education wise. So tell me about that because you touched a lot of different areas. You're a marketer now, award winning, in fact. So, yeah, how did you come into this sideways?
Yeah, so I guess so. I graduated high school when I was really young. I grew up in a really small town. My mom was a teacher and was committed to making sure that I got a great education as fast as possible. So she was always teaching me at home. And so when I got to university, I was sort of kind of I'd fell in love with a girl and I was trying to make my way through. And really, when I got involved in my first startup, we were growing the business and I was still in school and I was really young then too. And my goal was really just to get done as fast as possible so I could grow my business. And so I graduated with a degree in mass communications from Lindenwood University. And it's really interesting because a lot of the things that I learned became out of date immediately. I mean, I had classes on search engine optimization and things like that. And we're talking, 12, 13 years ago before there were even smartphones. So most of that was irrelevant. But it's funny because a lot of the things I learned about like radio broadcasting and things like that, I use with a slightly different slant now doing things like this. And so that's really what my educational history is. But really, it's been the things that I've got the opportunity to be involved with throughout my career, and some of it even just by happenstance. So I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu along with my wife, who's a very accomplished black belt. And probably around the time that I started my career, we also started a website on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And it became really popular, and we grew that just kind of from scratch, just the internet marketing things that I had kind of picked up and built my career on. And so we got into digital publishing. It's something we worked on together. And so lots of little pit stops in between lots of things and projects that are kind of personal in nature that have kind of built this weird collection of expertise that I've been able to develop over time. And after my first startup, I got involved with the state of Missouri had something called Arch Grants. And Arch Grants, they give $50,000 equity free to companies that want to enter a competition for growing startups that are based out of St. Louis specifically. And it was pretty cool. I got to basically judge a lot of those competitions, give advice, primarily around SEO at the time. And so I've had an opportunity to kind of get exposed to a lot of different industries, spaces, ideas, and things like that. And I've been really lucky to work with a lot of smart people myself and just pick things up along the way. So my education is both, I guess, kind of quick and from a traditional standpoint, but then also very long and storied as it relates to career history.
Yeah, and it's something you probably couldn't plan to make those pit stops along the way, but when it all comes together, you're CMO. So it
Yeah.
works out pretty well.
Yeah, and it's one of those things you don't necessarily kind of plan. I try to tell people all the time that would try to plan out the next 5 or 10 years. I wouldn't have planned to be where I'm at, but if you were to kind of looking back in time, I don't think that I would have even told you this would have been my plan. But this is definitely, if you look at all the different things that I've done, the position that I'm in now and the things that I'm doing are exactly what I would want to do. And it's strange because I think sometimes you can build the things for yourself that you would want, but at the same time, you don't necessarily know what that looks like. But as long as you kind of have a general idea, you'll be headed in the right direction.
Awesome. Well said. So before we shift into some of the display ad topics that I want to get into, I 100% forgot what I was going to say. So
Happens to the best of us all. That's my day to day. I live there.
damn it. I was like, this is such a meaty question. I'm going to seamlessly transition. Hold on. Give me one sec to remember what I was going to say here. Oh, all right. Before we transition over to some of the display ad topics, what is it that you like about managing people that maybe surprised you?
Yeah, so I mean, everybody on my team, like it used to be a motto that Tyler hates managing people, and so I would always tell people through the interview process, which was pretty tough. I would always say, like, don't make me manage you, you know. And so the part that I would say that I dislike is I really like taking ideas and bringing them to fruition, and the fastest and easiest way to do that for a long period of time was to do it myself. And over time, one of the things that I learned, and this is through working on big teams for a long time, managing lots of people globally, is that lots of people that had traditional marketing backgrounds, they were always trying to do marketing. So take an idea that was a marketing idea and then execute on it, rather than really trying to look at a business goal or a business outcome and look at something as how a business would. So kind of only operating within the marketing toolbox as opposed to saying, well, let's forget that we're marketers. Let's just pretend we're business owners. Like, what should we do here? And what part of that is something that marketing can do? And I think working backwards like that has served me really well. And so trying to find people that can kind of think that way and that are smart. And honestly, most of the people on my team don't have traditional marketing backgrounds. And so the challenge that I think comes with that is then you have to teach them how to be marketers in some ways. So in so many different ways, I'm teaching the different parts of my skill set that I've built up. Some things I'm better at than others, but at least I know how to do a lot of things. And I think the part that's really rewarding that I've enjoyed the most is teaching somebody the basics of something that I know and then watching them be better at it than I am, whether that's writing or web development. I have people on my team that just naturally have kind of, we all know there's people that are creative and can just, put a pad of paper down and start drawing. Those same people can, apply those same skill sets to design. And those, as I like to think writing is one of my better skill sets, but you go out and you find somebody that's written books or something like that before, and you're just surprised at how, you're like, oh, that was my idea, but you wrote it down better than me. And so I think that's the part that I've enjoyed the most about managing people.
That's cool. That's cool. I didn't come at it the same way back in my corporate gig, but I definitely hear what you're saying, where at one point I was like, well, it's just faster if I do it and I can do it my own way, but I need the people on my team to grow so that they can learn on their own and expand. And it turns out I'm not as good at many things as I thought I was.
Yeah. So. I'm always learning that. But that is the challenge. And I would say I'm much better at that now and more mature in that respect than I used to be in terms of doing something myself. I think you reach a certain point as well as you grow and scale that you get so busy doing things you realize, it used to be you could be so fast, I want to do this, I'm going to do it right now. And then you start having these things that are really competing, and then you realize I'm going to be the slow one now. And there's nothing that I hate more than moving slow. And so then all of a sudden you realize like the fastest thing I can do is teach somebody else to do it, or after I've taught them to do it, throw it over to them and let them do it, or at least get you 90% of the way there. And I think that's kind of the lesson in this. You have to see the fruit of that labor, just like, the things you'd work on your own.
Right on. Okay. So I'm an affiliate marketer, and I spent most of my time creating affiliate content, product reviews, and I stayed away from display ads. I was afraid it was going to hurt revenue, maybe mix up the intention of what I was trying to publish. And I know that there's different ways to do things. So what's a good approach for an affiliate marketer to start integrating display ads without, wrecking everything that they have in place?
Sure. And this is something that recently I was talking to some gentlemen from Empire Flippers and a couple other folks that were involved in brokering different website deals. And one of the things that they'd mentioned is they'd seen so many affiliate marketers start to deploy mixed revenue models recently. And I'm a big fan of that. But one of the things that I always will caution sites with or tell publishers about is that everything on a page that is basically not the content itself, talking about images, video, and then the actual written content, has the ability to cannibalize, take away, or eat away at the engagement of something else. And so when we just talk about ads, one of the things that I think people probably don't realize is that all ads have the ability to dilute each other, meaning you've got an ad at the top of the page and you've got an ad in the sidebar. Those ads are not necessarily additive, meaning a big ad at the top is worth $1, ad in the sidebar worth $1. Together they're worth $2. Together they may be worth $1.50. Together they may only be worth 75 cents, because advertisers may adjust their bids because over time they're bidding on historical data. Ad at the top of the page may perform so poorly with the second ad there because it takes attention away that advertisers bid significantly less than half as much. And the same thing maybe for the ad in the sidebar. So you may be better off with one ad than two in some cases. And so the same thing works for affiliate links and pretty much anything else that you put on a page, whether it's a product, a subscription offering, even social sharing widgets. All those things have the ability to detract from the content, take away from reader engagement, affect the CTRs, the CPAs of the ads, and all those things may not be things that are affected right then and there. Meaning, if I have an ad, again, that's $1 at the top and throw another one there in the sidebar, I might get $2 today, but tomorrow those advertisers may adjust their bids. And the same thing happens with affiliate stuff. So whether you've got actual pictures of affiliate offers in the content itself or just hyperlinks, all that has the ability to detract from other revenue on the page. So if you click an affiliate offering and it makes the person leave the page, that could be taking away the value of some of the ads that you have on the page. So I talk a lot to publishers that monetize with ads, and they always ask about affiliate offers. And one of the things I always bring up is, listen, it's going to affect the way that advertising performance of those ads on the page are impacted. So if somebody's clicking on that and they're in most instances buying something that's earning you money, well, that's a pretty easy trade-off. But if the vast majority of people that click on that end up not buying anything, you make no money off of it, it could be diluting your ad revenue to a degree that it's not really all that beneficial. So what you'd want to do is then show the affiliate stuff to the people that are most likely to buy it, and maybe not to those that don't. And the thing that I think affiliate marketers should understand about ads is that usually there is a balance there that you can find, non-disruptive types of placements, lower density, things along those lines. And you're better off testing than anything else to be able to understand what things may be causing users to leave sessions early or something along those lines. But session duration is a really, really good proxy for what may or may not be diluting the attention of your visitors.
Okay. That is a really good explanation. And I guess I came around to some of those ideas, although I didn't put it together with ads versus affiliate links and that sort of thing. So I know from my standpoint, when I see a page with like a huge menu and a bunch of social sharing and too many calls to action, it's just too many decisions for a person to make. It's overwhelming. And a lot of times they make no decision. They may bounce off and they're like, it's too much for me. So just adding display ads and affiliate links, like it all plays together. There's so many variables. So how can a person figure out like what mix is right?
Yeah, I mean, so originally that was the original idea behind Ezoic and the technology platform was it's different for every visitor. So you and I may behave completely differently, and it goes beyond just you or I. It goes all the way down to an audience, to the point to where someone from the US and somebody from Sweden are going to get treated differently by advertisers as well. So in Sweden, the 250 by 360 is the most common ad size, which I've never used as a marketer in my life. It's just a weird ad size. The most common one worldwide is a 300 by 250. So you would want to swap those out. You'd want to say, okay, well, if Swedish visitors in content, I'm going to show a 250 by 360, but for everybody else in the world, I'm going to show a 300 by 250, and you'll make more money that way. And the thing is some of those decisions are better off made whenever you kind of know how different visitors are going to be valued by different affiliates or different types of advertisers. Now, when you can't make those decisions on a per visitor basis, you have to look at it in terms of what is going to dilute the engagement of my content itself. So the example that I used to use, and I'm sorry to these guys because I always mention them. And one time they came to an event I was hosting at Google, and they actually raised their hand in the middle, and they're like, "Hey, Tyler, that's us, but I just want you to know that's not our department. That's not our fault." And it's Sports Illustrated. So they're on my mental blacklist because, or at least they have been for a long time. They may be different now, but Sports Illustrated used to drive me nuts because I would click a link. It didn't matter where I was coming from. Immediately, you got autoplay video at the top that as soon as you scroll, it starts autoplaying down in the sidebar, and it's just hovering there with you. You get a pre-roll ad for the first 60 seconds, no matter what. And then you've got in-content ads. You've got recommended content in the sidebar, and it's like all native stuff. And then you got ads in the content. Everything's taking forever to load. And meanwhile, the content's jumping around on the page because it's loading so much crap in the background. And you're like, I really cannot even just read. I want to read about how Tom Brady signed with the Buccaneers, and I'm getting in there, and it's like, other than the headline, I can't get any other meat out of this article. And so my guess is they can look at analytics and they can tell pretty quickly that they have a large number of users. You can look at traffic source, you can look at geo, but just find some way to divide your users up and just see, is there one big chunk of my users that are basically spending 10 seconds on the site? Are they not engaged? Is the bounce rate really, really high? If the answer is yes, there's probably a good chance that you have a set of users who are really unhappy with the experience. And being able to adjust things so that they're having a better one and extending that session length, those are the things that are typically associated with more like better campaign performance. So it's one of the things that inside of the real-time bidding protocol, which is what advertisers use to bid automatically or programmatically across thousands of sites. If you're P&G and you want to run a shampoo ad, and you want 10 billion impressions across the web in March, what you're going to do is you're essentially going to automate a lot of that. And the more time that users spend on the site, the better the chance they're going to click on ads, the better chance they're going to view them, which is something they bid on, viewability. And then also the better chance they're going to buy something when they actually click on it. So as an affiliate marketer, as someone that's trying to try out mixed revenue models, or maybe even sell your own products if you have a store or something like that, one of the things we tell some of the large brand publishers that kind of have subscription revenue and things like that is you want to maximize the engagement time, because the more time that someone is spending on a page, the more chances they're going to take up on ads or offers and things along those lines.
Gotcha. Very good. And I think, peppered in there, you mentioned some kind of classic mistakes that people might make when they're using display ads in general, especially with other monetization methods. But do you have any specific other, besides the one you just mentioned where it's like a terrible user experience, any mistakes that publishers make that is a pretty easy fix?
Yeah, so I would say one of the things that I think publishers probably try a lot and don't realize that they're making a mistake is they consider everything additive. So this is something I touched on in the beginning, where it's like all revenue is good revenue, or all revenue adds on top of something that you have, but you don't realize necessarily that things detract from each other. So this works even if you're just looking at a pure affiliate model. You think about if you go down the cereal aisle at the grocery store, and this is something that I remember from my days of positive psychology, but it's also something that, obviously getting exposed a lot to data at Ezoic, learned is actually a principle that applies to advertising as well. And it's the paradox of choice. If you're essentially going down the cereal aisle and you have a billion different types of cereal, it's like, which one do you go with? You go with the one that you know, or you try something new. There's just so many choices. And the same thing sort of happens when you have lots and lots of offers or lots and lots of ads on the page. As they start to kind of blur together, you get ad blindness. There's a lot of research done on those types of things, but generally, if you can kind of focus or hone those things in, you'll see things perform better. And I see recently the eagerness to try something new, where I want to try this affiliate offer. I'm going to try to sell a product. I'm going to try to Patreon. I want to try this new social media thing where maybe it embeds something that I can maybe earn some money off of. And you don't understand until maybe 3-6 months down the road that it's been impacting your affiliate revenue or it's been impacting your ad revenue. And I don't know that that's something people even know to look for in some cases, where I'll see people inside of communities a lot of times post, hey, I just started trying out this new subscription product and it's great. I've earned $300, but my affiliate revenue during that time period has gone down a lot. Any ideas on what I can do differently? And it doesn't even occur to that person that the subscription product may be taking away from their affiliate revenue and vice versa. And so one of the things I would just caution people at is just test, be able to see if, week over week, I look at things day over day sometimes just to figure out like, am I seeing a 30% revenue dip in one area and only an uplift of maybe 5% in another? Those things might not be related day over day, but like maybe I should keep an eye on that and look at it week over week, because if it lines up similarly, there's a good chance they're diluting each other.
Well said. All right, shifting gears slightly. You sent me some notes ahead of time, which was very helpful. Thanks for that, Tyler.
No problem.
I'm pretty deep into YouTube, but I've used it as an extension of my platform from my blog, and I have a podcast as well. And I know that this happened on like Facebook and Instagram more recently, and any other platform where people are growing an audience and then they suddenly have to now pay to reach the audience that they've built. And YouTube has been pretty good. I mean, it's kind of it's a huge search engine. And I know some people are actually building their platform on YouTube, and at some point they may have to shift and figure out how to, make sure they can reach their audience. So I know that walled garden can be a difficult thing to deal with. So how do you recommend people sort of approach YouTube and maybe moving their audience to Google and having more of a holistic approach?
Yeah, so I mean, this is the challenge with digital publishing, the internet at large right now is I have to be careful saying this. I'm the CMO of a Google partner, but the space is largely controlled by several large monopolies. I won't name any specifically, but they are really dominant. And as a publisher, especially an independent one, you have to ask a question like, how do I feed this beast without letting it eat me at the same time? And also consolidating all the risk of my business into one place, even if it's really hard to do that, like how do I diversify at least a little? And so one of the things that we've been trying to think about a lot recently, specifically related to video, is so much video content is created and uploaded to YouTube. And unfortunately, unlike a web page or a website, you really have essentially two sources of monetization there, where you can work directly and you can embed things on your own into your content, pre-reads and direct relationships and things along those lines. And then you have the ad revenue through AdSense, which, you just got to kind of just stick your hand out and say, Google, I'll take what you're going to give me. If Google decides they want to take 10% more of the revenue tomorrow, like, what are you going to do? You're going to say, not this time? I don't know. So if you're a publisher, what you want to do is have the same kind of control that you have over a website, over your video content, but yet you still want the reach and the ability to attract audiences that you get through YouTube. And there is a small hack here, and I think it is something that largely has only been utilized for the most part by big brand publishers so far. But I do think we're going to see that shift. And that is right now about 20%, 20 to 30% of all, twofold here, of all video views on YouTube actually come directly from Google search, and about a pretty similar percentage of Google searches result in a video click. So that means there's this huge portion of people out there that are essentially coming to YouTube directly from Google search itself. And so what that means is that those publishers in particular have an opportunity to optimize their video for search, but instead of sending them to YouTube, you can self-host that video. And the thing that is a bit of a hack here is the fact that Google cannot give precedent to its owned properties. This is something they're getting hammered on right now. But if you're basically providing search results and you're going to include in video in those search results, but you're going to say, hey, we're going to only include videos from the properties that we own, that's a conflict of interest. And so they have to treat all video sources evenly. Unfortunately, almost all video that's indexable and crawlable to Google is on YouTube. However, if you go online right now and you Google search Trump, because it's a news one, you're going to get a lot of video at the top. If you look at those video results in the carousel, you're going to see YouTube, and then you're going to see CNN. You're going to see Fox News, and you're going to see some of these other large brands. And when you click those videos, you're going to go directly to their site where they're monetizing that video with a lot of different ad sources. And I can promise you the amount of money that they're going to make from pre-roll ads is going to be, in some cases, 10 times higher than what you see on AdSense. Not only that, you have control over display ads you could put on the page too, that you just get so much more control. And this is an area where I think that publishers have largely missed out because they just don't know that you can self-host the video and have the same chances of it ranking in search as it would on YouTube. So I do think that there is an ability, especially now, for publishers to get off of Google in some ways and get onto Google at the exact same time. So to get off of YouTube and into search results. And I would encourage publishers to start exploring that to some degree. And I don't think it's very hard. And it's something that I think we're going to try to help them with in the future.
So two thoughts on that. One, Tyler and I both love Google and YouTube. On the record, I think I'm speaking for you, but I'm sure you're okay with that.
Yes, absolutely.
And then that is a deep topic. And obviously I do a lot of video, and I'm only scratching the surface of understanding the scope and the capability of what you just mentioned. So we may be able to do like a round two, a little deeper, something like that, because I know we'll go very far in the weeds quick on something like that and the mechanics of setting it up. So anything else to add as far as like video search or, some of the other aspects of it?
I would say that the biggest thing as it relates to video search is that self-hosting video is something you basically just need a web property for. And it's something that I think most publishers that are spending a lot of time building an empire on YouTube should at least explore setting up to some degree. Because I think if there's one thing that we've learned, and you can look at Facebook, you can look at pretty much any platform that's existed that publishers have leveraged, the publishers that have gotten really burned when things have pivoted in those different spaces has been that most of the time those are the ones that are saying, well, they're not likely to change this, or this will always work that way. And the platforms almost always do something at some point to disrupt the way that things have always been. It's the one thing you can kind of count on. 10 years ago, people were ready to jump from Google organic traffic onto Facebook because they were saying, Google's way too unpredictable. You have no idea how they're going to change their algorithm. I'm going to get over here on Facebook where it's safe, where I know that I can consistently get traffic. And then, you think about that and you're like, that's the last place you can expect there to be consistent traffic is Facebook. They're changing their algorithm all the time. So if there's one thing that's consistent, it's the inconsistency.
Indeed. All right, Tyler, where can people find you?
So you can find me personally. I'm on Twitter at Tyler Bishop. I'm from St. Louis. So that's Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey's from St. Louis. I heard about it whenever I was in college. And so I was one of the first 1,000 users to that platform. So I got my namesake right off the bat there. You can find me on Instagram at Tyler Bishop BJJ. It's going to be mostly jiu-jitsu stuff, but hey, you can find me there. And then I'm always writing and sharing information and things like that on Ezoic's blog and YouTube channel. So you just got to find Ezoic on the internet, and yeah, our social channels are out there. But I'm pretty active as it relates to different articles that I'll publish. And then also I have a series of different video shows and educational series and things like that I do through Ezoic.
Awesome. We'll link up to all that stuff in the show notes and description. Thanks a lot, Tyler.
Thanks a lot, Doug. I appreciate you having me on and allowing me to kind of share some of my expertise and story with the audience.
Thanks a lot to Tyler and Ezoic in general. Everyone, be sure to check out the links in the description. I could tell you that the blog over at Ezoic is amazing. A lot of very insightful tips and tricks and case studies. So do check that out. And they do have a site speed accelerator, which I personally use, and it'll help bring up your Google Page Insights score pretty quickly. Very easy to use. And yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more cool stuff coming from Ezoic.